Yo, so I was just, excuse my tit, it's not looking too good. I haven't done chest for time, but I was just I was reading through Leninger's, and there was a chapter here about genomic comparisons and their importance to human biology and medicine. Obviously, as a dropout or someone, actually, I'm gonna say it, I've dropped out despite being enrolled. I've dropped out, and I've got my reasons. But I'd like to do a short overview because this is what I'm doing now. Because this is what I want to do. This is all I've ever done. So just not doing it with them. But yeah, just an overview. The thing about these books is that they are amazing and they got human knowledge that is basically just mind blowing considering how much people have learned. But the stigma around how that knowledge was acquired, or who really acquired it, or what's exactly being learned, who's teaching it to who, and why they're doing it. Because when you're reading these books, what you need to understand is it's not a thing where they're teaching you stuff. It's more like, oh, here's a bunch of stuff that we think and we've put it into this book, and as a student or as anyone concerned with this pursuit, biochemistry, you need to tell us what you think of all of this, right? That's what all this is about, right? And like here, for example, there is some information that's very concerning, and I'll tell you why. It talks about the differences. The differences in genomes. Because when we look at chimpanzees, for example, and us, obviously we know about the 99% similarity index between basically all species. Never mind chimpanzees, and they mention it here between human beings, because they're not talking about that. They're talking about the differences between us. When you mention that genome similarities are 99% across species, and you go, oh, okay, and between monkeys, between humans and chimpanzees, they're also 99%, and obviously that 1% is what we attribute all the difference between human beings. So it mentions it here. Divergences in developmental programs, blah 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 blah. But yeah, possession of language, extraordinary athleticism by them, of course, right? And susceptibility to chronic illnesses, right? And how we've got so much to learn in the coming years about the differences, that 1% between us. Never mind the chimpanzees. Between us, different races, they want to know about that 1%. But the thing is, they're telling you about it here. They're telling you that 1% is difference, and that 1% is all we've got. But is that 1% when it's just 1% despite where you look? Or are they telling you that for a reason? Not just that. How they're talking about the benefits that could be endowed by the understanding of this 1%, right? Differences in health and susceptibility to chronic illness. We have much to learn about the variability in the sequence among humans, and during the next decade, the availability, blah 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 blah, transform medical diagnosis and treatment. Yeah, they're telling you all this, but I know something else because I've studied genetics, and I can tell you for a fact that your little 1% difference is you, and they want it. Why? Because they need to figure out what these differences are, why this code, despite being similar, changes depending on how you lived, changes depending on how you speak. I told him this first year. I mentioned it to my no, was it second year? Oh no, first year I mentioned it, and I was told, no way can you attribute differences or changes in code to how a person speaks, because this is my theory, right? The tongue forms the face. Language hones the breath. how it moves through you, how it animates your being. Well, your cheeks, you can see it on me. So this difference of this stuff can be observed in the code, would be observed in the code. Why wouldn't it be? Right? And that's what they want. They want to sequence everybody at birth. Everyone gets sequenced. This ain't some Illuminati shit. It's not Illuminati. It's Mason. Understand it. It's not Illuminati. It's Mason. Get it in your head. Trying to sequence you. Put you in a thing. Like your words on paper. They know you're not. They know you're not. They just need it. They need that measly little 1% from everybody. Because obviously, if I know the difference between your code, like for instance, because it makes a lot of sense. For instance, you've got someone with heart disease, right? You can look at the community of people from heart disease, look at their genomes and observe the differences in mutations and figure out why these mutations took place. And then, well, maybe you don't even need to figure out why these mutations you could just be like, oh, there's a constant mutation that keeps popping up. And whenever this mutation arises, people who take a particular drug and have come from a particular ethnic background seem to react a certain way. So you could be like, okay, well, we can attribute this polymorphism to difference to something related to this receptor or this blah 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 or this enzyme or something, and you can look into it further, have more experiments, but in reality it's more than that. You can do things with it that you wouldn't quite respect, and they need you to be as gullible as possible, as willing to accept medical intervention when you don't need it. And they need you to be irresponsible with yourself so you can go to them. So do us all a favor. Look after yourself so they don't have to, and they can't justify what they're about to do, what they're doing, what they've done to humanity. Don't forget.